Printing United Expo is where the entire printing industry unites under one roof. Explore cutting-edge technology from over 800 exhibitors, see live product demonstrations, and discover solutions that can transform your business. With exclusive education sessions, expert insights, and endless networking opportunities, this is the must-attend event for anyone in print. No matter your role, Printing United Expo delivers the innovation, connections, and knowledge to help you stay ahead. Join us this October 22nd to 24th in Orlando. Learn more at printingunited.com and experience the future of print today.
This is the Impressions Exchange Podcast. Where all topics impacting the graphic imaging and printing industry are addressed via in-depth news coverage, analysis, and timely interviews.
Welcome to another episode of the Impressions Exchange Podcast. I'm Ashley Roberts, Content Director of Printing Impressions and host of today's episode. On this special Printing United Expo short, I speak with Mark Subers, Chief Innovation Officer at Printing United Alliance, about the Expo's new Printing AI Pavilion. We talk about what it is, why it's important, and what you can expect when you visit the pavilion at the Expo in Orlando this October 22nd through the 24th. So Mark, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Ashley, for having me.
Of course, happy to have you. So I wanted to have you on to talk about something new and exciting for this year's Printing United Expo, and that is the AI Pavilion. So I think let's just start this off by you explaining what is the AI Pavilion.
Thanks, Ashley. Yeah, it is a new feature for the show floor. This year, we really saw that it was necessary as we've had all of our summits and other events we've run that AI is obviously the hottest topic. We also did our Imagine AI, the event that Steve Metcalf does, a global event on AI. We did a printing workshop and we filled it, every seat. And we know how important this topic is, generally speaking, for businesses, but specifically for the printing and packaging industry. So we decided to sort of amp it up to the next level because really, if you kind of take a step back, the Alliance is here to assist and ensure and future-proof all of the organizations in the industry, right? We want to make sure everyone has the greatest amount of success, and we think that providing this type of insight into what's happening in AI is really important. So, keep in mind that the show is 1 million square feet, basically speaking, with lots of people and lots of exhibitors, about 800 exhibitors. So how do you find the AI solutions on a floor that's 1 million square feet? Are you looking for little signs on their booth that says AI, right? Or, is there a focal point that we can put on the floor? And we happen to be putting this right next to the Alliance, booth. And the member booth and the Alliance booth that is really kind of center of the floor, and the idea is this is the focal point for AI. Okay, if it's something you're interested in, you want to learn more about, we have some sponsors of the area right now. We've got Koenig & Bauer Direct Mail 2.0 significance, and also a booth for Printing AI, a new brand, and we can talk a little bit about. I'd like to talk a little bit more about Printing AI as we move forward with this. But this is meant to serve as a focal point. What we're doing right now is we're reaching out to all the exhibitors and saying, who's doing what in AI? Okay, if you're doing something of significance built into your equipment, into your solutions, into your software, we're going to put it on an AI wall. Okay, there's a lot of elements of this booth. There's sponsors that are directly offering AI solutions. There's actually a theater. Okay, there is a podcast area that's going to be adjacent and used by both for AI purposes and also for podcasts for the Alliance purposes. But really, one of the biggest things is that AI wall is going to have logos and locations for all of the folks on the floor that are exhibiting, that you can come here, you can go, oh, okay, I see that, Koenig & Bauer's here as a sponsor, but, Canon's offering some AI too, and they're over in this booth, and so on and so forth. So it's really intended as a focal point and a guide to help people get through the experience and find as many exhibitors and have as many meaningful conversations that they can to expedite the engagement.
Okay, so you mentioned there will be a little theater. Does that mean there will be educational sessions that are dedicated to AI, or how's that going to work?
Yes, there will be. There are going to be, we're looking at about 4 sessions a day,
Okay.
probably more like 3. We're also planning for tours, AI tours. So within our sponsors of the pavilion itself, and with some of our other major exhibitors that are working in AI, we're going to have a tour that we sort of go and walk to each one of their booths and see what it's all about. So the theater is intended for obviously on floor education. And we're going to have Steve Metcalf's going to be there. We've hired some other folks to come in and speak. We're going to hear from our research team. They've coming out with their 3rd edition of the AI research, so that will be really important. So we'll get to hear basically what the adoption looks like and all the other valid points that the research group has to offer. So, like I said, this is going to serve as, if you're interested in AI when you come to this event, this is going to be your spot to stop. It's going to be your focal point.
So I definitely want to come back to printing AI, which you mentioned, but just a side question. Is this a spot for attendees in any segment, or are there certain segments that are being targeted, or what?
No,
What's
this is all applications, all segments. AI is not specific to a particular area. Now, we'll probably have some level of breakdown and adoption of AI, and when we're talking about it, a lot of people using AI in marketing, a lot of people using it in sales, a lot of people using it on the production side and workflow. So there's different use cases, but those use cases are really across the board in terms of segmentation. There's no real particular breakdown there.
Okay.
All,
And
all,
then,
all segments. Yeah.
okay, so all segments, and then is it all, um, you know, levels of learning? So there are obviously some, companies that have gone headfirst, just dived into, AI and really adopted it. But then there are also obviously companies that are just stepping into it and maybe a little hesitant. So will there be education or people they can talk to depending on their level of understanding of AI?
Yeah, I mean, I think to a certain degree. Well, I think most of it is going to be. I mean, so you're talking about a pretty sophisticated conversation,
Hmm.
right? And as we talk about printing AI, we can dive a little bit more into what that education and what that new brand looks like for the alliance, and it's really just a really one of our an additional media brand. With some other things that we're doing. But yeah, I mean, I think I would put this in the sort of maybe 101, 201 level. But the importance is that we're going to making the connective tissue. Okay, we'll start here and connect out to the other exhibitors. Where if you're really into it from a workflow, perhaps I know eProductivity is doing a lot of work in the AI area, and we're going to identify them as, hey, these are some folks. If you're interested in AI, you should go talk to. That is where I believe, okay, based on who they're talking to, is where that deeper level conversation is going to come from. The education sessions themselves will be fairly high level.
Okay, great. So let's talk about printing AI.
Yeah.
What is it? What was the genesis of this?
Yeah, again, as I stated earlier, the real purpose of the association, our North Star is to make sure and future proof everyone's success. We know AI is going to play a big part of that. So what we have done, and I know you were a part of it, so you know some of it, is to really focus in on this very specifically. So as you know, we're launching a new e-newsletter. Okay, that specifically, and it's called Printing AI. We haven't done a whole lot with it yet, but we've started a LinkedIn group called Printing AI. We're going to be doing having some people do some blogs for us. So there's a whole extension, all these things that we're doing as part of the Printing AI brand. Again, just to inform everybody and make sure that they're up to speed. We're also going to be making an announcement at the show. I can't share that with you right now, but it's really exciting. We're super excited about it. It will be under the Printing AI brand. But again, come to the show and you'll learn some more about what we're doing in this space, a little bit more in terms of hands-on assistance.
Perfect. Do you obviously things are changing rapidly with AI. Do you foresee this being, moving forward a focus, like a continued focus for us?
Yeah, I think that the level of adoption is varies so greatly. Being having done that workshop, there's people that are heavily engaged in it, and most of the time when you see that we have a keynote speaker around AI, you just see a lot of very worried faces. That they perhaps the people in the audience. Again, this is our leadership summit, our inkjet summit, our wide format summit. We've had content around AI every time, and you see the oh my god look on everyone's
Right.
face.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where to start. Okay, I don't really know what to do. Some are engaging, and everyone's sort of taking their own path. Even internally for the alliance, we're taking our own path. And that we're part of that. And we from the editorial team perspective, as I think at one point, and this was I don't know, 6-8 weeks ago, I think you guys were up to 28 tools that you were
Mm-hmm.
trying and testing.
Yep.
Okay, so where does all this fit into your organization? And this is really where we're trying to connect the dots. To the folks that are in the know, that are actually building this into their equipment, building this into their software, and building this into their solutions. So yeah, that's the intent. I do think moving forward, I think this. I mean, personally, I think this is the biggest sea change in all of businesses since the internet. I don't think this is going to be solved in 2 or 3 years, and put to bed. So I do think there's going to be adoption for years to come. I do think that what we'll see on the floor is more and more exhibitors building AI into their tools. A lot of them have been for instance, Heidelberg was part of our workshop. Very interesting to see where they're taking it. They mentioned at Drupa in 2012 that they were putting up into the cloud all the data from the clients globally to help set benchmarking, and now they're throwing AI around that. It's really interesting where everyone's taking it, depending on who they are. But again, we want to be that. We want to lead out, make sure everyone's in the know, be that person that provides that connective tissue, to the other, and really drive awareness of what's happening in the industry, and that's the purpose of the area of the pavilion, and our engagement with all of the exhibitors, just to really provide everybody some insights.
Perfect. And just to reiterate, it's going to be near the Printing United Alliance booth, correct?
Yes, it is. It's
Okay.
the member booth and then the alliance booth, and it's sort of L-shaped, and we're on a major aisle right near the blockhouse. And so on the floor in Orlando. So we will all be together. There'll be a big podcast booth right out in front. So I don't really think you're going to miss it.
Cool.
It's got a lot of elements to it. There's the 5 pods areas for our sponsors. There's an education area. There's going to be a big AI wall. Like I said, it's going to show what we're doing from a printing AI perspective from the alliance. Doing newsletters, etc. We have even in our iLearning platform. I believe by the time we get to Expo, we're either going to have 4 or 5 education modules based around AI. I know we have one for color right now. We have one for workflow, and we're going to be adding some others along. So you're going to find out what the alliance is doing around this. Okay. And then, also you're going to find out what all the other folks on the floor are doing. And again, we're trying to say, hey, here are the 30 companies that offer some solutions. You want to stop by if AI is a really big deal. And then, like I said, I think moving forward, actually, I think we'll go from 25, 30 folks that are, and they're going to have to reach a threshold, right, of what they're doing. We're not just going to put everybody up there. But, as that is going to grow over time. And that's where I think that 25 or 30 this year is going to turn into 50 next year. Okay, and and then hopefully 60 and more as we of the 800 or roughly 800 exhibitors we have, continue to dive in and build this into the products.
Well, it sounds really exciting. I am thrilled that this is going to be at this year's expo, and I can't wait to explore it myself. I'm sure that the people listening are looking forward to it. Is there anything else that we didn't touch on that you might want to mention?
I know that I've talked to Denise Gustin, who leads out on editorial for us, and this is something that we're going to be providing some significant information in the Expo guide. So if you're interested, when you get to the show, grab a guide, look all this, what's happening. So that'll be certainly a way. All of the education sessions that we're doing on the floor will be in the mobile app. And also we will have out front a whole schedule of sessions and happenings in the booth, as part of the pavilion itself. So there's a lot of ways to engage and find out what's happening there. I would just suggest that people, make sure if I don't imagine that AI is not important to everyone. Okay. The pavilion's not that big, but we can certainly host, quite a few people. And again, it is your starting point. Okay. It is your connective tissue to the other, 990 however many 1,000 square feet there are. It's really the connective tissue to everybody else. This is your starting point, and this is going to be the place that you want to get some guidance. Okay, and especially come and visit the sponsors as well. These are all folks that are pretty engaged in AI, and there's a lot to learn from coming and having chats and conversations with them.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Mark, so much for taking the time to talk to us about the AI Pavilion. Really appreciate it and can't wait to see it come to life.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Ashley.
I want to thank Mark for joining me on this special podcast episode. And of course, I want to thank all of you, our listeners. To register for Printing United Expo, if you haven't already, head over to printingunited.com. When you get to the expo, make sure to check out the Printing AI Pavilion at booth 4255. See you in Orlando.